So what Bree and Andrew did with us was they booked us for full coordination, which is really helping you take care of most of your planning. Helps you booking vendors, basically we kind of act like a broker for you or a real estate agent. So instead of you going on this big scary internet or going to these very overwhelming wedding shows or whatever, where there's so many options and so much information and you're really unsure of what you kind of want or how to narrow it down, that's where we kind of pull in and say, okay, here's 3 that will fit in your budget, or here's 3 that speak the most to your theme, or here's 3 options for whatever. And it just sort of helps you, narrow everything down a little bit and make your decision. So Bree made a really good point. They just kind of had to they made a decision, they signed a contract, and they paid a check. So all the researching and all the parts that can be really stressful and overwhelming for couples is taken on by your Little Mushroom coordinator. Okay, so creating timelines and due dates for the planning and booking, as well as for the week of and day of. A lot of times couples think we got to make sure we have a great day of timeline, that everything's outlined for the day of. Absolutely super important. But it's that planning process as well, so that you don't get to 2 weeks before the wedding and go, oh my gosh, we forgot to book our transportation to and from venue A and venue B. And then you're scrambling, right? So making sure that all that stuff is kind of squared away at the right time. There are some venues, some vendors that book up a lot earlier than others do. So sometimes you have to book a year in advance for something. Other things you can do 2 months before. And as coordinators, we kind of know those timelines a bit better for you and can give you that detailed list of kind of your to-dos for the month, okay? Assisting you with the flow of the venue, your floor plan, your rentals, and your guest seating. I am going to touch a bit on floor plans and stuff for you tonight, but depending again on your venue, if you're private residence and you're just trying to figure out where everything's going to go, where the best spot for the washroom trailers is, and which way your tent should face and all that kind of stuff. Again, coordinators can help hugely with that. There are some venues that have a very distinct flow. Do I have any Homer Watson, sorry guys, baby brain. Do I have any Hauser Hall couples here tonight? Just the one? Okay, awesome. And I knew you guys were Hauser Hall. So Hauser Hall has a very specific flow. You do your ceremony upstairs, you go into the basement for your meal, and then you go back upstairs for like dancing and reception. That's how Ernie tells you to do it. That's that's how most weddings there run. But if you're at Steckley or Victoria Park Pavilion, there's a lot more freedom to kind of move things around and do things in a different way. And then again, with private residence, it's, world's your oyster. So your coordinator can definitely help make sure that everything flows properly for you. Creating a realistic budget tracking sheet. So that was something that I did a lot with Bree and Andrew when I sent those monthly check-ins. I also sent them their updated budget saying, okay, this is what we had budgeted for it. This is what you actually paid for it. And here's your checks and balances to see where you've gone over, where we're under, where we saved some, to really help keep everything in line for them. So with full coordination, it does include 6 meetings leading up to the big day. So usually that's 6 months, 6 months before, once a month. And those are to go over all of those things that need to be done and making sure that they're getting done. 3 hours of work the day before the wedding. So that can be running your rehearsal. Again, Erica and I both have lots of experience with ceremonies, being around them all the time and working with officiants all the time. We can help you and your bridal party with, how quickly to walk or where to hold the bouquet so you don't look ridiculous and all that kind of stuff. So running the rehearsal or helping with setup or a little bit of both. So if you do get your venue the night before, then a lot of times people like to get a lot of the setup done so that, again, it's a little more stress-free on the day of the wedding and they can kind of see everything being pulled together. And so doing setup or even last-minute errands. So something like going and picking up florals or stuff like that needs to be done kind of the day before. You've got 3 hours of your coordinator's time. And then 8 hours on the wedding day to be the central point of communication for your bridal party, for your vendors, for your family members, for you guys, just everybody, so that anyone who has a question isn't coming and bugging you. They can come and bug your coordinator and ask them questions, okay? So that's the full package. So most of you at this point, if you aren't already booked for full, you probably will look more towards what I'm going to talk about next, which is month of. But if you're not getting married until next, September or October, and you are, really all you have booked is us and your venue, you may want to take advantage of a full coordination package and have us help you kind of all the way along. So month of is our most popular, again, because people, like to be very hands-on nowadays with their planning, which is fantastic, but can sometimes start to feel overwhelmed closer to. So the month of gives you a meeting at 6 weeks and a meeting at 2 weeks before the wedding to go over kind of all the last minute stuff that needs to be done. And then Erica or Caitlin would be helping you with your finalizing your floor plan, your wedding day of timeline, and just communicating with your vendors that last couple of weeks. So just making sure that everybody's on the same page for that last month or so before the wedding. You still get 3 hours the day before for setup or rehearsal, and then 12 hours of time on the day of the wedding, again, to be that central point of communication for everybody. And then we also have a day of coordination package. So this would just give you Erica or Caitlin for the day of the wedding. There's just one meeting, preferably a site visit, especially if it's private residence or a venue that we aren't regular caterers at. Just for 2-3 weeks before the wedding, just for Erica to be able to kind of assess any red flags and make any adjustments that need to be made before the actual wedding. And really it's your time as well to just give her a list of tasks and say, this is all the stuff we need you to do on the day of the wedding so that we don't have to do it or we don't have to assign our family members to do it. So a lot of it is like setting up do-it-yourself decor items, centerpieces, just general kind of running around and gophering and grabbing you a glass of wine while you're doing pictures or whatever, just to make sure that timeline and everything runs smoothly. And of course, that your vendors know kind of where to unload, where to set up, where to plug in, all that kind of stuff that they're gonna ask if they aren't used to the venue that you're in. So that gives you just the 12 hours on the day of, nothing, no ceremony or anything, rehearsal the day before. So those are the 3 packages. We had another couple who wanted to participate tonight, but they live a little far away, and so they decided they would just send in a nice little testimony for us to use. So this is Carly and Nick, who got married on September 8th, and they did it technically on a private residence. Carly's dad owns Innerkip Golf Course and Maryhill Golf Course, and so they did the wedding at Maryhill. So this was their quote. So we had Little Mushroom cater our wedding in September 2018. The food was delicious and the service was fantastic, especially when the servers saved some appetizers for us to eat after photos. And Bree and Andrew touched on that as well. So apparently people really like that. We had Beth and Erica as coordinators, and it was money well spent. They took my vision and made it come to life on the day of the wedding. Notice how Carly says my vision, not our vision. Everything was set up perfectly with extra touches I never had even thought of. It was such a relief to have one of our most important days run so smoothly, and that was because of Beth and Erica's love for their job and respect for their customers. We couldn't be more grateful for their work and support through our wedding planning process. We highly recommend them, Carly and Nick England. And then I just collaged a couple of pictures from their wedding as well. So her dad and her came in on like this souped up golf cart. It was adorable. Erica and I hung the garland stuff on the arbor, and this was their little sweetheart table set up. And then when the bridesmaids came in from pictures, we popped all their florals in those jars and stuff like that. And yeah, we've got their cake and their cake table and their what's that thing called? Podium for speeches. So